It was 6:30 a.m., the quiet hour before the city truly woke. The bell above the door of Marcy's diner chimed softly as an old woman, wrapped in a fading wool coat, shuffled inside. Her hands trembled slightly as she held the door. Behind the counter, 24-year-old Lila Morgan looked up from refilling coffee pots and smiled, the same warm, gentle smile she offered every morning. "Good morning, Mrs. Eleanor," Lila greeted, pouring a steaming cup of coffee and sliding it across the counter. "Black, 2 sugars, just how you like it." The woman smiled faintly. "You always remember, dear. Thank you." What started as a simple act of kindness had become a quiet ritual. Every morning, rain or shine, Lila made sure Mrs. Eleanor had her coffee, a fresh blueberry muffin, and a few minutes of peaceful company before the rush began. To most customers, the old woman was invisible, a frail lady who muttered to herself and dressed like she'd seen better decades. But to Lila, she was a reminder of her late grandmother, gentle, alone, and carrying a lifetime behind weary eyes. The struggles behind the smile. Lila wasn't supposed to be working this hard at 24. Life hadn't been kind. Her father's accident, her mother's medical bills, and a college dream buried under debt. The diner job was all she had left. Each paycheck was divided carefully. Rent, food, her mother's prescriptions, and a few spare dollars for savings. And yet, despite her struggles, she found joy in helping others. She'd slip Mrs. Eleanor an extra muffin or pay for her coffee when the woman's shaking hands reached for an empty coin purse. "Don't worry about it," Lila would say softly. "You'll get the next one." Mrs. Eleanor would always respond with the same words, "Kindness returns when the heart least expects it." A morning that changed everything. One cold Tuesday, the bell above the diner door chimed, but this time, it wasn't just Mrs. Eleanor. 4 tall men in dark suits stepped inside, their eyes sweeping the room with quiet precision. Behind them, a woman in a gray blazer, polished, serious, walked with purpose. The diner fell silent. Lila froze mid-pour. The suits looked like something out of a movie. They stopped near the counter. "Miss Lila Morgan?" the woman in the blazer asked. Lila blinked, confused. Yeah, that's me. Could you please come with us? Mrs. Eleanor requested your presence." The old woman, sitting at her usual booth, looked up with tear-filled eyes. "It's all right, dear," she whispered. "Go with them." The revelation. They guided Lila outside to a sleek black car parked at the curb. For a second, she hesitated, but Mrs. Eleanor reached out, her hand trembling as she took Lila's. "I need you to trust me, my dear." They drove in silence for nearly 20 minutes, through wealthier neighborhoods where manicured lawns and marble gates seemed worlds away from the diner's cracked windows. When the car stopped, Lila's breath caught. Before her stood a grand estate, sprawling gardens, fountains, and a mansion that seemed pulled from a dream. "What is this place?" Lila whispered. Mrs. Eleanor smiled faintly. "My home." The lawyer handed Lila an envelope. "Mrs. Eleanor Willoughby, former CEO of Willoughby Holdings. She's been searching for someone she could trust. You, Miss Morgan, have shown her that compassion still exists in this world." Lila's hands shook as she opened the envelope. Inside was a letter, handwritten, gentle but firm. "Greater than, my dear Lila. You never asked who I was, never looked at me with pity or greed. You saw me when no one else did. When I leave this world, I wish my legacy to fall into the hands of someone who remembers that people matter more than profit. I'm naming you as the manager and eventual heir of the Eleanor Foundation, to continue helping those the world forgets. With love, Eleanor." Lila looked up, her heart pounding. "I can't accept this. I'm just..." Mrs. Eleanor interrupted gently. "You're the only one who never saw me as just an old woman. That's exactly why you can..." Challenges and doubt. The months that followed were overwhelming. Lila, a diner waitress, now found herself sitting in boardrooms filled with suits and silent judgment. The foundation Eleanor left behind had fallen into disrepair, funds misused, staff disheartened, and charity programs on the brink of collapse. Some board members resisted her leadership. "She's a waitress," one whispered. "She doesn't belong here." Lila wanted to walk away many times. But each time, she remembered Eleanor's trembling hand on hers, the warmth of her morning smile, and those words, "Kindness returns when the heart least expects it." With determination and honesty, Lila worked day and night. She listened, learned, and brought humanity back into the organization. Instead of focusing on numbers, she met the people their foundation was meant to serve: veterans, widows, struggling students, homeless families. Slowly, she turned it around. The full circle. 1 year later, on a crisp morning, Lila returned to Marcy's diner, now wearing a tailored blazer, not an apron. She ordered a coffee and a blueberry muffin and sat by the window where Eleanor once had. A young waitress approached, shy and exhausted. "You look familiar," the girl said, smiling faintly. "Do you come here often?" Lila looked up, eyes glistening. "I used to. And I think I'd like to again." As she paid, she left a folded note beneath the saucer. The waitress unfolded it after she left and gasped. Inside was a $1,000 tip and a simple message. Greater than, kindness returns when the heart least expects it. Lila Morgan, Eleanor Foundation.